What's going on? Welcome to the 2021 edition of the Off the Schneid preview series, where I'll be going over all 32 NFL teams, breaking down their roster, schedule, giving you a record prediction, as well as helping out with some betting tips. If this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Don't forget to check the description for links for the Off the Schneid social media and interact with me directly. I want to give a massive shout out to OurLads Scouting Services and OurLads.com, as all roster and depth chart graphics are straight off their site. If you've never been, go check them out immediately. I use their site for all NFL, fantasy, and betting purposes, and there's a link in the description for their site. Again, do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button, but enough of that, let's get to your favorite NFL football preview. Taking a look at the Denver Broncos, we will start at quarterback, and we got Drew Lock / Teddy Bridgewater / potentially Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. If all things remain the same, which I do expect all things to remain the same, Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater here and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, at least for now, which is a bit of a caveat and will lead into kind of what I think will happen most likely with this roster. So I'm personally of the camp that thinks that Drew Lock is the better option between the two. Either way, I should say, if Drew Lock is absolutely the guy, and they find that out this year, he throws for like 30 touchdowns, has a great year, this team goes to the playoffs, all that, there's a potential and likelihood that they stick with Drew Lock, and he is now their guy. Does that happen? I don't think so. But, there's going to be more or less an open competition between Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock in the preseason and training camp to see who is the starter, and I'm of the camp that Drew Lock is the guy. Either way, I think that they're probably both a placeholder for probably Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. Or maybe Deshaun Watson, something like that. Either way, I think that they are going to be moving on from not only quarterback after this season, but I think the bigger problem with this team and offense, I suppose, is Pat Shurmur. I don't really particularly believe in Pat Shurmur, more or less at all. I think that there's a fairly high potential. I'm actually just going to call my shot here. I think that Pat Shurmur is out, and one of, or probably, maybe both of Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, neither guy is the starting quarterback next year, and Pat Shurmur's gone. So that's my prediction. And whether it's Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, a rookie, someone else, someone else, I think there's a very, very, very high potential that the Denver Broncos are a quarterback away from being not only playoff contenders, but if it's Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson, they are Super Bowl contenders with this roster. Absolutely. So there you go. There's my take on the quarterback position for the Broncos kind of now and moving forward. Running backs are in a good spot. I am a massive, massive believer of Javonte Williams. I think that he's going to be the starter by the end of the year, no question. And then they move on from Melvin Gordon, and Javonte Williams is the kind of bell cow here. I really think that, after this season, he's going to be the guy, if he's not already this season, which I think there's a good potential he is the guy this season. Royce Freeman's still there. Michael Boone comes in as well as good quality depth backup guys. Those four guys probably all make this roster and make up the running back room in Denver. Move over to tight ends. Very good spot here with Noah Fant, former first-round pick a couple years ago, and he's ready to take off. I think he might be, the next top 5 tight end to kind of come out of, obviously not nowhere, but I think there's a potential he looks at, 800 yards receiving and 800 to 900 yards receiving. Call it 5 to 8 touchdowns, something like that is kind of where I'm thinking he could finish. So definitely startable in fantasy. And then you got Albert O there, who's built in a very similar mold as Noah Fant, and I think those two guys can absolutely get the job done there. Wide receivers are in a very good spot and a little better than they were last year, obviously with the return of Courtland Sutton. Still only, I believe, 26 years old. coming off a torn ACL, obviously, but I think that there's absolutely room for him to come back and be another guy. I'm not going to say he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver again, because I think they have a lot of pieces here. I think that the most likely candidate to be a 1,000-yard receiver would be Jerry Jeudy. I really like Jerry Jeudy. I think he can take a step forward this year. Cortland Sutton absolutely could be that guy too, but they just have a lot of weapons. Underrated Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick's very underrated in my opinion. Big body guy, but he can stretch the field and take those, any one-on-one contested pass. I like my chances with Tim Patrick, if I'm being honest. They've thrown that ball to him a lot, and they should continue and probably will. Then you got KJ Hamler, second-round pick, high draft capital, and a bit of lightning in a bottle type of a guy. And then even Deontay Spencer, another lightning in a bottle type guy. Seth Williams comes in. They got a lot of pieces here. That's why I say, if they had, say, Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson, this is absolutely a Super Bowl contending team. Absolutely. Offensive line, great spot as well. I mean, obviously they wanted Juwan James to be that guy, but it is what it is. He got hurt. They moved on from him. It is what it is. They went ahead and brought in Bobby Massey to likely be that starter, plug up that hole. Cam Fleming is there as a swing guy. Netane Muti and Quinn Miners are there to be those kind of swing interior guys. Can play guard, center. Well, Quinn Miners can play center. So they got depth there now. I think that this offensive line is in a better spot than it was. I'm not going to say with before the Juwan James injury, but a better spot than they were last year with the Juwan James also injury. So that might be confusing, but you kind of get what I'm getting at least I hope. Garrett Bowles, fantastic. Dalton Risner, fantastic. Lloyd Cushenberry, very, very good. Graham Glasgow, very, very good. And Bobby Massey's just fine, plus they got some depth. So they're in a very good spot here. Like up and down this whole offense, the only potential missing link is quarterback. Does Drew Lock take that step and be that guy, be a 30-touchdown quarterback? Maybe. I don't particularly think so. I think that, I guess we'll see when we get to the record prediction, but I think that that's realistically probably all Drew Lock is capable of doing when I get there. And then I think they move on like I noted earlier. So there you go. There's the offense. Let me know what you think in the comments there on that. Move over to the defensive side of the ball. I think they're just fine defensively. It's Vic Fangio's defense. Ed Donatell's still there, obviously. I think that coaching staff-wise, the only guy that they're probably going to move on from after this year is going to be that offensive coordinator in Pat Shurmur. So there you go. Started the defensive line. Even without Von Miller last year, this was a top 10, top 7, top 8 type of getting after the quarterback, and which is, even more impressive to me considering, being a losing team. They weren't up in a lot of games, they weren't playing in a lot of shootouts or anything like that. They weren't leading where teams were coming back, and they still had 42 sacks also without Von Miller. So that's very encouraging for me, very encouraging. Hopefully Mike Purcell can stay healthy all year. If not, I'm not super concerned. McTevin Agam's there, not super concerned. Shelby Harris is very underrated, very quality player right there. Jamonte Jones had a good year. I think he had 6.5 sacks. Played very well, 7.5 tackle for loss, couple passes defended, getting his hands up in the air. And Shelby Harris does a great job of that as well. He had 7 pass defended. So with those two guys, batting down balls, Mike Purcell plugging up the middle. If not, McTevin Agam, no concern there. Then hopefully, finally, you can have a healthy Bradley Chubb and a healthy Von Miller getting after the quarterback. That's deadly. That is dangerous. That is scary. Literally, that is concerning for any offense, if you ask me. Linebackers, Josie Jewell looked really good last year, should continue to progress. Alexander Johnson, still a quality vet that can absolutely get the job done. I absolutely loved the Baron Browning draft pick. I really like Baron Browning. I think he can do a little bit of both. He can get after the quarterback and play some interior linebacker as well. I think that's a solid guy to have that you can move around and do some different things with. Malik Reed led this team in sacks last year with 8. Very undersized guy, 6'1", 240 something. Not a big guy, speed guy probably. So there you go. He can get the job done. I don't care if he's undersized. I don't love it. unless you show me that you can do it. Hassan Reddick, Malik Reed. So if he can do the job, he can do the job. If he's undersized, I don't care. If he can do the job, right? And he's shown that he can. So there you go. Derek Tushka's there as well. A lot of depth here, a lot of difference makers. Dangerous defense we got here in Denver. And this kind of always has been, but this year it took a fairly large step forward because of the secondary. Patrick Surtain comes in, obviously, first round pick for them. If I actually had Horn as my number one corner, but Patrick Surtain wasn't far behind him. And, a lot of people had him as their number one. So there you go. Kyle Fuller still there. Very, very, very good player. Ronald Darby comes in from the football team. He was very good last year. Kerry Vincent Jr., sneaky, very good 7th round pick in my opinion. I really like that moving forward. Bryce Callahan can get the job done. Michael Ojemudia, I think. If I'm butchering it, I'm sorry. Duke Dawson, those guys can still get the job done. Justin Simmons is fantastic, very good safety. Kareem Jackson, former corner, plays safety now. They drafted a couple 5th round corners, Jamar Johnson and Caden Stearns. I think off the top of my head, I could be wrong that Jamar Johnson played corner in college. I could be wrong on that one, but either way, I'm not concerned. A lot of depth, a lot of talent, a lot of difference makers on every level. This is a dangerous team. This is a very good team. If they got bit by the injury bug pretty bad last year, I was very high on the Broncos. I'm almost just as high. I'm a little less high, because of another year of Drew Lock. Like, he didn't take a step forward, that's for sure. He didn't take a step forward last year. That is for sure. And I expected him to. So if he didn't then, I don't particularly think he does now. So that's why I'm not quite as high on this team. But if for some reason or somehow there's a change at quarterback this season, this is a better team. Yeah. That's just where I'm at with it. So I've basically said my piece. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's move over, check what I project them to do record-wise for 2021. 9-8. So 9-8. I think I might take a little bit of heat from Broncos fans on this record projection. I'm not sure. But just my concerns with the quarterback play is why I'm giving them this record prediction, if that makes sense. Realistically, I just don't think that Drew Lock can drag this team to be much more than this, if that makes sense. I think that the Chargers are the second best team in this division. Again, it's quarterback play that is going to be the difference. I think their easiest path to victory, play very good defense, which they're going to do, play very good defense, run the ball a ton. That's one of the reasons why I like Javonte Williams so much, because I think that is their path to victory. Run the ball, play good defense, and get first downs get first downs on 3rd down. You know what I mean? In the passing game. And they have those weapons. They got the Noah Fant, obviously they have those weapons. I went over all that, but yeah, so realistically, I think there's room to even grow from this high of 10-7 if Drew Lock takes that a fairly big step forward. I just don't particularly think that's going to happen. So I think they meddle in a little bit of mediocrity here this season. And like I said in the roster breakdown, if they move on and they get themselves, an Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson, something like that, Super Bowl contenders, absolutely. So let's go through the the schedule here. Week 1 on the road against New York. Tough game. That's a tough game. Very, very similar teams, both good defenses. I think that the Broncos probably have the better defense overall. Offensively, very, very similar. Very winnable game. That's a very winnable game. That's probably going to be a relatively low scoring game. Like 21-17, 24-17, something like that. Not a barn burner, but should be a good game either way. And that's a winnable game. I gave it to the Giants in my record prediction. Week 1, fans in the stands. They're a decent team. They're not horrible, right? So I gave the edge to the Giants there, but it's a winnable game for the Broncos. Low, high, my. At the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they get that win. They're just a better team overall. They, especially with a rookie quarterback. I think they're going to be able to go into Jacksonville and get that win. Then they open the season at home. Not open the season, sorry. Their home opener against the New York Jets. They're absolutely going to, like, back-to-back rookie quarterbacks. I think they absolutely beat the Jets, fairly handily. And to be honest with you, especially at home, fans in the stands are going to be going crazy. First game, they're 1-1, need a win. There you go. Then at home against the Baltimore Ravens, I think the Ravens are the better team. They come into they come into Denver and get that win. On the road against Pittsburgh Steelers, I think the Broncos are a better team. They get that win. At home against the Vegas Raiders, I'm going to go ahead and give them a split. I think there's a very good potential that the Broncos sweep the Raiders. I think the Raiders are the worst team in this division. I'm definitely splitting with the Chargers, home and home. I'll split with the Chargers. But they get that win at home against the Raiders, no question. And the very good chance that they sweep them, depending on how their season goes. On the road against the Cleveland Browns in a short week, that's going to be tough. They're not going to get that win in Cleveland. At home against the Washington football team, very similar teams, extremely similar teams. Given that it's in Denver, I'm going to give them the win. I'm going to give them the win against the football team. I originally had them losing in my projections here. I had the football team getting that win, but I think that I'm gonna go back on that and think that the Broncos can get that win. On the road against the Dallas Cowboys get that win at home. They're just too good offensively. They're still going to be able to score against this defense. And in a game like that, I don't like Drew Lock, if I'm being honest. In the game like that I think in a game that I think will go the way that I think it'll go, if that makes sense. At home against the Eagles, they get that win. Their defense is too good. Their offense is probably better all around. So I think they get that win against the Eagles. Even if it was in Philly, I think they still get that win. Bye week 11, I don't mind that. That's a good bye week. I'm not ready to call the Broncos a playoff team. That's for sure. I think the potential is obviously there for them to go to the playoffs. That's a great spot to have your bye week, right? 10 games in, you're probably sitting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roughly. You're sitting around 500, 4-6, 5-5, 6-4, something like that. You know what you got to do, and that's, I think, for a team like this, for sure, that's a good thing. You're gonna want to know what you got to do after your bye, especially having a later bye week, right? I think that that's a great time for this team to have their bye. Coming out of the bye at home against the Chargers, I'm going to give them that win, especially after a bye at home. I think they home and home split. They get that win. On the road against the Chiefs are winning that 100% at home. I'll get to their later game there, but the Chiefs are getting that win in week 13. I don't have too many questions about that. At home against the Detroit Lions, they're going to beat the Lions. The Lions are going to be a bad team. Broncos get that win. At home against my Cincinnati Bengals, I think they beat my Bengals. I'm not going to relatively handily, if I'm being honest. I don't think my Bengals can come into Denver and get that win, even with the slight shortcomings that I see with Drew Lock. I think this defense is just going to be too good, to be honest with you. On the road against the Raiders, like I said, there's potential that they can sweep the Raiders. If they can go 3-4 out of that bye, and it looks like they got a shot again, to make the playoffs, and if the Raiders do what I think they're going to do, I think that the Broncos get that win. That game is going to depend on how both of these teams' seasons go. If they go the way that I project, then the Broncos get that win. If they don't, and I'm wrong a little bit, I think the Raiders can probably steal that win at home. On the road against the Chargers, they're not going to get that win. I think the Chargers win that game. They should be both close to the playoffs, so that's a massive game in Week 17 for both of these teams, and one that I think ultimately the Chargers will get the win. Week 18 will be interesting. If the Chiefs are what I project them to be, and they win the division, they're pushing for that first round bye. If they've locked up the first round bye, they're going to sit everybody. They should, and I believe that they will. If they haven't and they need that win, they're going to get that win against the Broncos. If they can lock up a first round bye, lock up the division, everything like that, division should probably be locked up already. But if they need that win for the first round bye, I think the Chiefs get that win. If they don't and they're sitting everybody, that could be an interesting conversation where, they're sitting everybody and the Broncos win, they're in the playoffs. There's going to be some upset teams out there, that's for sure. But it's going to be an interesting season for the Broncos. I really do like the team a lot. If you watch my projections last year, you know that I really like this team. Drew Lock did not take that step forward. I don't particularly see that he does this year. I still am just, it's a narrative I've been saying this whole time. They're a quality quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. And that's just how I see it. So let me know what you think in the comments. There's your breakdown for the 2021 Denver Broncos.